Hello and welcome to the $1,000,000 Message. This is your Fearless Friday message with Callie DeBlander Brigham, calling from beautiful Pensacola Beach, Florida. And yesterday I met an old gorilla. Well, not really, but in essence, that is what he was. If you saw anything in my stories, in my social media stories, then you may have known that I got to attend a 2-day event called EntreCon here in Pensacola for entrepreneurs and business leaders in our community. And it was just an incredible 2 days learning from just some people that have been there, done that, are doing it still. There were some keynotes and some breakouts and just really an incredible event, my first year attending. And one of the keynote speakers was a man named Bert Thornton, Bert, B-E-R-T, if you want to check him out and look him up. And he's the old gorilla. Again, I'll explain that in just a second. He is 80 years young. He is a legend. His his fraternity brother's dad started a little restaurant called the Waffle House. And at the time when Bert started to also work for Waffle House, I think they had maybe 30 restaurants in the regional area, and Bert went on to become the president and COO of Waffle House, I think over 3,000 locations. I mean, who doesn't know Waffle House, right? He's retired now, but that doesn't mean that he's not still very invested in people and ideas and thoughts and actions. And he was the keynote speaker for one of the afternoon sessions. And he wrote a book that is called Find an Old Gorilla. And the metaphor in that is that in business and in life, it's a jungle out there, right? There's twists, there's turns, there's quicksand, there's threats, there's beauty, the whole thing. And if you were dropped in a jungle and you didn't know where to go or what to do, his advice would be to find an old gorilla, because the old gorilla knows the way. They've walked the walk. They know all the paths. They're not afraid of the jungle. They command respect. And that is really what his idea is for life and business, is to be mentored by someone who's been there, done that, and knows the path. And, of course, that's what we get to have in our business and in Mary Kay. And mentorship is really the heartbeat, from whether it was Mary Kay Ash herself to maybe your own personal leader or mentor, directors, national sales directors, and then maybe even it's becoming you. Maybe you're the old gorilla that is now able to lead other people, to show other people the way, to guide them with truth, with love, maybe in and out of all the challenges and the obstacles. Well, I so loved his keynote, and I'm actually going to give you just kind of what he talked about, that later on I happened to be sitting a couple rows down from him because, that's one lesson I really learned from him. I mean, why does he need to sit in any of these classes? Yet he was. And I went and I introduced myself to him afterwards using some of the techniques that I'll share with you in a second. Excuse me, you guys. Been fighting off this little cough. I feel great, but fighting off this little cough. And we got to talking a little bit and just talking a little bit more and a little bit more. And he was asking questions and I was asking questions. And then he said, you know what, why don't you, my truck is right out front. Why don't you come out front? I'd love to give you a copy of my book and I'll sign it for you. And he has a cane and he's walking next to me. And I said, well, Bert, do you want me to run out and get them for you? And he said, oh, no, I'm heading out. So this would be perfect timing. So we went outside and he grabbed a copy of his book and he said, you know what, I'd actually like to write it to your son. So he wrote it to my son and I said, Bert, and he said, I'll give the other one to you. I said, I hate to tell you this, but I've got 2 kids, and if I go home with one copy of the book, I've got a daughter who's not going to be very happy with me. He laughed. He said, I'll write the other one to your daughter. He said, wait, I think I've got one more. He pulled out one more book. He goes, this one's for you. And he wrote to my friend, Callie. And he said, you know what? I'm also going to write something else in the inscription. And he gave me his email and he goes, this is my cell phone number, his cell phone number. And he wasn't done yet. He pulled out some Waffle House coupons. He said, so I can take my kids to Waffle House and we can discuss his book. What a delight. What an absolute delight. And it just goes to show that he lives out what he teaches and what he's done for all of these years. So what was his topic? And I think for us, this is pretty basic. I mean, I will say we have such incredible education in Mary Kay that a lot of the things that I was learning in the classes, I mean, it was just a repeat, a layer of things that we already know in Mary Kay. I will say some of the AI that they were sharing was pretty mind-blowing. But let me get back on track. Bert was his keynote was about the 8 great social tells, the things people read and assume about you before you even say a word. He said that these things matter in leadership, in influence, in connection, and of course we can use them in Mary Kay. So it's not just for a corporate boardroom, it's anytime you enter a room, anytime you make a phone call, anytime you post on social, but especially anytime you meet someone face to face. So the 8 great social tells, I'm going to tell you what each one is really quickly, and then I just want you to pick one that you're going to work on. Sorry, guys. Work on today or this weekend or this next week. And the first one is attitude. Okay, so attitude, it's a big billboard, isn't it? And, of course, we know in Mary Kay that your attitude determines your altitude. And he used the example of, actually, it was so great, of saying how, when you ask somebody, how are you? And you say, great. And he told the story of an old man that went to the doctor, and he was not in good health. He was not doing well at all. And he gets to the reception desk, and they ask him how he's doing today. And he said, I'm doing great. And later on, a nurse came in to, just kind of check his vitals. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Everybody that he was around, and he was not doing great. Everybody he was around, he was doing great. Well, finally, the doctor had been kind of hearing this interaction the whole time, and the old man finally gets seen by the doctor, and the doctor says, well, how are you doing today, sir? And he says, I'm not doing so great. And the doctor said, well, all along you've been telling everyone you were great. He said, yeah, but they weren't the ones that were here to help me. And he said, I didn't want to burden them because they didn't have the skill to help me. And so I just thought that was so good, that it's not a Pollyanna attitude. It's for those that maybe don't have the time or the resources, or they're just not the person, that you can be great to everybody else, but maybe you're not having a great day. That's when it's time to tell your mentor. That's when it's time to be honest with somebody, to say, you know what, I'm actually not doing so great, to somebody who can help you. I thought that was a really good, maybe, perspective on having attitude. Number 2 is energy. People feel you first. People feel you first. What energy are you putting out? And it doesn't have to mean that you're the loudest person in the room. You can have a quiet strength and a quiet power. You can use your energy through humor. You can use your energy through compassion. But what kind of energy are you putting out there today? Number 3 is your appearance. And he said just your appearance that's appropriate to the situation. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. But what are you telling with your appearance? And I remember as a newer consultant, I would wear my beauty coat. It helped me feel professional. But I also had 2 different outfits that were like my power outfits. They weren't intimidating, but they made me feel good. And the first outfit I would wear to someone's first appointment, if we were just doing skincare, and the second outfit I would wear is their color appointment. So that I didn't have to overthink, kind of like Steve Jobs, who wears black turtleneck and jeans. I had my 2 power outfits that I would wear, and I would just switch them back and forth the whole time. Number 4 is the command of language. And he just said that this comes across so that you seem like you know what you're talking about. So we don't need to use slang. We don't need to be inappropriate, but we also don't need to be so over the top that we're intimidating too. So just a good command of the language. Number 5 is engagement. And with engagement, he had us all practice this: eye contact, a firm handshake, a smile, and a warm greeting. And just to mix up, different ways that you're going to greet people. And I just thought that was really beautiful. So engagement is how you connect with someone, making that eye contact, handshake, and a smile. Number 6 is your conversational bearing. And what he meant by that, are you always lagging? Are you always behind? Are you always leading, which means that you're maybe pushing ahead, or are you tracking, which means you're keeping up with the conversation. So you don't want to be behind. You don't want to be pushing ahead. And the way I look at that is, if you've ever talked to somebody who's just waiting for you to stop talking so they can say what they want to say, that's not good conversation. So just tracking and keeping up. Number 7 is your demeanor, and your demeanor is your presence. So maybe calm and confident, approachable demeanor. Mary Kay always said to have a gentle smile on your face at all times. And I found myself, if I'm sitting in a room and I'm not paying attention, that maybe I don't have the nicest face on, and I just have to tell myself, you never know who's looking around and making an impression about you, to have a gentle smile on your face at all time. And number 8 is body language. And your body language, an open stance, your shoulders back, a relaxed posture that just welcomes people in. And you can do more research on any of these 8 things if this would help you. But, of course, Bert was such a great example. He embodied every single one. And that's why I, followed him blindly to his truck. I would say an 80-year-old man with a cane is someone in the light of day that you could follow to his truck right outside. But his leadership presence really was what drew me in all ways. So this matters to us because what we do is built on relationships. People won't necessarily remember every word, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Your social tells are what draws you into people. When you master them, you're going to build trust faster. That leads to deeper relationships. That leads to stronger customers and teams and leaders. And so this in some ways for us is a Mary Kay 101, but really in reality it's a Mary Kay PhD too. So I just wanted to share this with you today because it really wasn't about Bert's title. I mean, that's impressive. It was that he's still pouring into people and he's still mentoring people. And even if that is that he's giving away books from the back of his truck. But it really wasn't about that. It was that he made me feel seen and he made me feel important. And that's why I'm talking about him today. So I would suggest your actionable step is to take one of these social tells and elevate it. So maybe it's about adjusting your energy or sharpening your words. Maybe it's about holding your shoulders back. Maybe it's about smiling. Even if you're on the phone, a smile, you can hear it. And that one little upgrade can make all the difference. So I just want to close with a shameless plug that a woman that I know that embodies all of these is many of our mentors in Mary Kay. I'm not going to call her an old gorilla, but you all probably know Nancy Boucher, 6-time $1 million sales director and a dear friend of mine. And she is my guest this week on the Perfect-ish podcast. So if you go to Apple or Spotify or even YouTube, you can probably just search for her name, Nancy Boucher, Boucher. This is her first podcast, so she's not necessarily all over the place in podcasts yet. And you can listen to our conversation, and it's just a delight. And I want to say thank you, Nancy, for leading me well through many a jungle season and a jungle experience. Have a great Friday, friends, a great weekend, and find an old gorilla, be an old gorilla, and you can make it through the jungle too.